Hi, I'm Doc Hunsley, the Executive Director and Founder of SOAR Special Needs. And here at SOAR, we love coming alongside churches and helping empower them to become a Luke 14 church and welcome families with individuals with special needs and disabilities. All right, now I want to talk about a topic that we all want to learn about: problem behavior. All behavior is a form of communication. Challenging behavior is telling us our individual is having something that is challenging, and we have to figure out what that is. Problem behavior does not mean that the individual we were working with is a bad person. They are telling us that there is something going on, and it is our job to figure out what that is. Now, you can pretend that problem behavior is never going to happen. Or you can pretend that if it does happen, it's never going to happen again. And we can act like an ostrich and literally put our head in the sand. But we cannot do that. Realize you are never alone. Just ask for help. You have a lot of people who can help you, who have knowledge that are around you. You can ask other volunteers for help. You can ask the classroom teacher for help. You can ask the coordinators, the pastors, the leaders for help. Don't feel that you have to do this on your own. There will always be someone there to help you. Now let's define what problematic behavior is. Problematic behavior is defined by the situation and the space. So it's dependent on the person, on the toleration, on the effects, on many different things. So what you consider being problematic behavior, I may not. And that's okay. Just because I don't consider it problematic behavior does not mean it's not problematic behavior. If you view it as problematic behavior, we need to act on that and work through it and figure out what they're trying to tell you with their behavior. Now, when there is this behavior, we need to remain calm and work through it. When we see the problematic behavior, we need to sit there and realize that even for us, when we don't have a special needs or disability and we're neurotypical, even when we're around a lot of people, we can get frustrated sometimes. However, we know how to deal with that frustration. Our friends with special needs don't have the technique to be able to deal with that frustration the same. And that's where the problematic behavior comes from. So, when problematic behavior occurs, we have to remain calm. Our behavior affects their behavior. If we start getting anxious, if we get revved up, we're going to rev them up. And that's not going to help anybody. So we need to remain calm. And we need to ask ourselves 3 questions. Am I safe? Is my buddy, is my individual safe? And can we remain on task? If the answer is yes to all 3 of those, keep working. But if the answer is no on any of those, then we must take action in addressing that problematic behavior. Now, you can think anything you want to. However, you must have the best poker face available and not allow anyone to see the fear that you might have, the concern that you might have. We need to remain calm in working through this behavior. The other thing we need to remember is if we see problematic behavior 2 times or more, we need to investigate and figure out why. What is causing that problematic behavior? Let me give you an example. I have a friend. We're going to call him Tommy. Tommy was in our adult class, and Tommy was 51 years old, super happy, nonverbal autism, always smiling, laughing, and always carried a little ball around. And for us, we would always start our Sunday morning off with worship upstairs with all the rest of the church. And as soon as worship was done, we would come down to the basement of the church into our class. Now, this is July in Kansas City, and it can get hot. So we go down to our class and go in there. Tommy's always been happy. I've never seen him upset about anything. Always smiling, always laughing. As soon as he walked into the room, the smile left. The ball fell to the ground and he started screaming, hands covering the ears, and he was inconsolable. Something happened. We don't know what. And so we started trying to go through everything and trying to figure out what caused this behavior and working through everything. And as we're going through that, I come in, try to help, and we ended up having to remove him from the room to help him with it. That's finally what helped. Being older, being nonverbal, as I talked to the caretakers, told them, you know what, this could be that he's getting sick. That is one way that individuals with special needs, when they're nonverbal, can show signs of getting sick as they start having some behaviors. So informed them of that. The caretakers took him, got checked. I just chalked it up to that. Next week, they came back, said, no, everything checked out. I'm like, great. We went through the whole thing again. Everything was great. He was happy. However, once he came into our room, exact same thing happened. This is 2 times. It's now my job to figure out what is causing this behavior, because all behavior is a form of communication. Tommy is telling me something's wrong. I told all my volunteers and staff, I'm buying lunch for you after class today. We're figuring out what it is. We spent 2 hours, searched through everything, and finally looked over and said, how long has that floor fan been sitting on that metal filing cabinet? The group said, I don't know. I couldn't hear any vibration. I didn't hear anything. I said, doesn't it normally sit on that wooden desk? It did. I said, let's move it back. He never had another behavior again. That fan was causing a high pierce sensation that was painful for him. We couldn't hear it, but he could. If we did not investigate and figure out what was causing that behavior, Tommy and his family would have left the church because we weren't meeting his needs. But we caused his behavior. So it's our job, and it's important that we try to figure out why that behavior is occurring and what to do. Now, when there is a behavior, like I said, we need to call for help. Don't feel like you have to do this alone. It is going to be safer to remove the rest of the class than it is to remove the individual in the crisis. And so you can simply tell the teacher, hey, it's time to have the rest of the class go out on break or go to the bathroom or get some water. And then you call for help to have someone else help you. Thank you so much for taking time to watch this video. We want to help you take your ministry to the next level. Simply go to our website under churches and we will give you a free hour-long consultation. Come, soar with us.